Do you guys know the unbelievable and bizarre story of the original Siamese twins? And that they were one of the very few Asian Americans who owned slaves. Grab your tea and let's begin. This was Chang and Eng Bunker, the original Siamese twins. They were born in 1811 in Siam, which is now Thailand. These brothers were conjoined and joined by the chest by a band of flesh. They were discovered at the age of 17 by a Scottish merchant who was traveling in Siam, and after meeting them, he found them to be profitable and brought them over here to the West. Physicians in America inspected them and found them to be healthy, but advised against any surgery to separate them. And with the help of the merchant, they soon began touring and became known to American and European audiences in circus freak shows around the world. And freak shows were exhibitions or like human zoos where audiences could go and view humans that had physical deformities as talent displays. Now, touring wasn't easy for the twins. They were continually taunted and physically abused by those around them, and were even once arrested after fighting local men who had attacked them. After doing freak shows for a couple of years, the twins decided to separate from their merchant and tour on their own. They created and started touring under the moniker Siamese Twins. As the Siamese twins, they gained immense fame and fortune from their own freak shows. And in 1839, the twins purchased land worth around $300 in North Carolina. They became U.S. citizens and changed their last name to Bunker to sound more American. By the late 1840s, the twins spoke English fluently, had voted, and they also bought slaves and became one of the first Asian Americans to become slave owners in the United States. They also won and lost several lawsuits that they had to file against white people in North Carolina who racially attacked them. One of the twins' first enslaved people was a woman that went by the name Aunt. Her name was Grace Gates, and she can be seen in this family portrait right above me. The twins had become prosperous from touring, and they displayed their massive wealth throughout the city. The twins would end up marrying two local sisters and fathering 21 children, but that obviously did not go without some controversy. National newspapers generally condemned the marriages, and the twins suffered vandalism and other racial attacks. And now with their families, they would live in each house 3 days at a time. So 3 days at Chang's house with Chang's wife and kids, and then 3 days at Ing's house with Ing's wife and kids. Now, during the Civil War, even though the twins were technically a part of the Whig Party, they sided with the Confederacy in upholding slavery. But they sided with the North in preserving the Union. Even though both twins were reportedly divided on their thoughts on slavery, they put up a united front and wanted it upheld. Two sons of the twins served in the war. One was captured and the other was wounded at the Third Battle of Winchester. In 1865, the Civil War ended and Chang and Eng's enslaved workers were emancipated and freed. And the twins' finances had suffered tremendously since they had lent money to the Confederacy, which was now worthless. And therefore, they had to resume touring. But Northern audiences were not receptive to the twins because they had been slave owners. So during their tours, they would sympathetically present themselves as old men with many children who only reluctantly supported their state. And each of them had a son who had been hurt in the war. But that didn't work. Even newspapers wrote that the twins had lost a considerable number of slaves of about the same color of themselves. And they claimed that the twins were taking advantage of their audiences. The twins were then forced to tour overseas as they had lost their American audience. By 1870, Chang suffered a stroke, and the brothers were then forced to retire. The twins' massive wealth was lost, and Chang became an alcoholic and remained in poor health. In 1874, Chang would die after contracting bronchitis, with Eng dying only 2 hours after Chang at the age of 62. And that, my friends, is the bizarre story of the original Siamese twins. Now, while I feel empathy for them being used and abused by their merchant and in the freak shows, They also became slave owners and supported the Confederacy. And to me, that's a lot worse than what was done to them. So they definitely got their karma during the last years of their life. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!